Technology Assignment 2, Game Changers, Technology in Sport.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Ella and Darcy's Sports Lab, where we talk about the most recent hot topics in the sporting world. I'm Ella.
And I'm Darcy, and today we're going to be diving deep into how technology is transforming sport.
We won't just be explaining what technology in sport means, but how it's impacting performance, fairness and accessibility.
Correct, we'll be diving deep in today's episode into four key areas. Performance tracking technology, sports equipment and gear, officiating decision making technology, recovery and injury prevention.
So, make sure you're comfy and watch until the end to see whether technology is ultimately beneficial or if it creates more problems than it solves.
Section 1, Performance tracking technology. In this section we're going to be looking at if wearable technology is accessible and whether people are wearing it for fashion or if it actually benefits their sporting performance.
Performance tracking technology has overwhelmed the sporting world with devices such as GPS trackers, heart rate monitors and wearable tech, which provides athletes with detailed data on their performances.
This data shows key metrics like distance, speed, intensity levels, which coaches and athletes use to help support and tailor their training programs for the best results.
This could be as simple as an Apple or a smartwatch, which nowadays majority of people own the same type of wearable technology, whether it's for sports or day-to-day use like tracking steps, sleep or heart rate.
Exactly, Ella. But it raises questions that are people who aren't using wearable technology for sport specifically benefiting from the data? Or are many just buying them because they are trendy and widely used? Personally, I think an element of social influence has brought so many people to purchase these types of technology without fully understanding or needing it.
Yeah, well, that is a good point, Darcy. See, I think these major issues these days is a huge percentage of people that don't know how to interpret or analyse the data from these devices. For example, someone might see their heart rate or sleep score but not understand what it actually means in terms of like improving their health. With that, our knowledge with the technology that has no purpose for something that is quite expensive.
I understand where you're coming from, Ella. However, I think some basic awareness can be beneficial. People might not fully understand, but they will be aware of if their score becomes lower than average, to then know that something needs to be changed. However, we shift the focus to athletes and coaches. The value of using this technology becomes much clearer and more significant.
Yeah, well, I agree with that, especially in performance sporting context. For example, if wearable technology data shows a consistent decrease in sprint speed, this could indicate the onset of muscle fatigue or even overtraining. This could help a coach keep their athletes safe and help to build upon their training schedule. This will overall help increase recovery and reduce injury.
This makes a positive impact on performance and athletes' longevity. Although, on the other hand, there is also limitations such as athletes and coaches being over-dependent on the data from the technology, where athletes may become too focused on their stats rather than their body's instinct and tactical awareness.
I say, although there is also another side of wearable technology, as the price of these pieces very high, there is the argument that it could become very unfair in sports because there might be an inequality of access due to the lack of funds in certain clubs, sponsorships and money in individual athletes.
Exactly, which leads us into the idea, is it fair or ethical for some athletes to have the opportunity to use this data from technology but not others? As it can prove athletes and coaches with valuable information that can be used to aid their training and recovery sessions, but others do not get the chance to use any of this due to the fact that it's expensive and can't stretch that far for their equipment that isn't necessary.
Yeah, you see, these drawbacks show that there are ethical concerns that maybe coaches and athletes use this technology and they're just too dependent on.
To conclude this section, it's fair to say that there are both positive.
No, I'll read it.
Right, go
It's
on
alright, I've just got stuff to move.
Alright, go on then, go on. You're that bit, I'm that bit.
Yeah.
Just let you know.
Okay. These drawbacks show that there are ethical concerns that maybe coaches and athletes are using this technology are too dependent on the data driven instead of the talent of the athlete or the skills that come from the coaches. An example of this, a group of elite swimmers were studied and it showed that the consistent need to keep sleep scores up and training strain low causes energy deficiency and high physiological stress.
Hold on, Ella. To conclude this section, it's fair to say that there are both positives and negatives to wearing wearable technology, but overall we feel as though the positives outweigh the negatives due to the fact that it will help athletes decrease the risk of injury and improve recovery time, which will overall increase the longevity of the athletes' careers whilst keeping them safe.
This brings us to the end of section 1. Section 2, equipment and gear. In this section 2, we'll be looking into if different equipment and gear used in sports is accessible for all and bring any ethical barriers alongside it.
Growing technology has massively influenced the design of sports equipment, which instantly changes performance and causes the argument of, is technology improving too much or are athletes becoming better? A brilliant example of this is the Nike Vaporfly running trainers. Because they are carbon plated, it shows that there is an increase running efficiency. However, people argue that the reason for new records and improving running times are due to the fact that these trainers increase speed by 4% and not that athletes are actually improving.
Well, efficiently is where it's at now. Engineers have modernised equipment, for example, lightweight materials to reduce expenditure, while advanced designs improve aerodynamics.
This means that athletes' physical limitations are reduced, such as fatigue, discomfort and weak muscles and joint support, which leads to an overall improved performance outcomes. This then leads to the argument that are these ethical if they are supporting the runners with this when others are more affordable trainers don't, which eventually the reason that the Vaporfly trainers have been regulated and banned from many pro competitions.
Well done, Darcy.
Thank you.
You see, the regulations on the trainers were decided due to the ethical concerns that not everyone can afford these trainers, meaning those that were not wearing them had a huge disadvantage on those that were, due to the fact even if those not wearing them faster. The runners wearing them was also due to the carbon sole plate.
I think things have just got a little bit jumbled up, but that's okay, things happen.
It's alright, technical difficulties and all that, Shauna, you know what I'm trying to say.
Which leads back to the point that technology is overriding talent, which even if regulations have been put in place to help stop this, however it's difficult to manage large crowds, which is usually the case for running events such as the London Marathon, which includes thousands of runners. There is also another side of equipment and gear, and that each sport has specific uniform or equipment that is necessary for the sport.
You see, analysts have carefully selected the appropriate equipment, as the wrong equipment can have a massive negative impact on the athlete's performance, whereas the right choice can enhance it.
For instance, footwear such as football boots are specific to football as it improves grip and stability on the playing surface, and they also have different materials for different grip on the ball and touch control, all of which contribute to a better and safer performance for the athletes.
However, when evaluating what equipment and gear to use, there must be some consideration for fairness, as some technological advantages may provide an unfair advantage, especially if they are not easily accessible for everyone, which this then leads to an unmatched playing field, as some athletes will gain advantages, whereas others won't, as a better grip of the ball, which will keep the ball close when dribbling 3 players.
This links back to the start of the podcast where a comment was raised, can technology create more problems than it solves? As we need to question, is performance results are better because the athlete's ability or if it's the technology's effort?
Yeah, well, you see, however, to try and keep it as fair as possible, governing bodies sometimes regulate the equipment being used, which shows technology can push ethical boundaries. From this, it shows that there's no real reasons to push these boundaries by using technology, which may be unfair, as if all athletes are used only what was need to play the sport, then everyone would be equal and would be down to talent only for who is the best.
That's a good one. To wrap up this section 2, it's clear that even though equipment advancements can have a large impact on enhancing performance, they are also carefully controlled to ensure fair competition, but does not fully stop the unfairness. What is not necessarily as the
It's okay, take your time.
Does not fully stop unfair competition. What is not necessary, as the improved technology being used only takes away the talent from the sport.
Moving on to section 3. Officiating technology. Officiating technology has been introduced into many major sports such as football, cricket and rugby over the last 5 years, with technology such as video replay systems and goal line technology. These systems have been added to help improve decision making and human errors, especially in the high pressure games, whereas one decision can completely change the outcome of the game.
Yep. By having this technology, for example, VAR in football, helps to reduce human error, which can have a huge impact on the accuracy of the game, as it allows officials to review important moments such as goals, penalties, offsides, by using video replay.
Yeah, so this is important because in the past, wrong decisions have had a massive impact on the results of the game. By introducing different technologies such as VAR reduces the chances of making mistakes, which overall creates a fairer game.
Exactly. It also helps to improve the integrity of the sport. When decisions are more accurate, players, coaches and fans are more likely to trust the outcome of the game, rather than blaming poor or biased refereeing.
So you see, then this just leads to like a better community throughout the sports due to a fair and reliable decisions.
However, even though there are huge positives, there are also negatives to having this technology. One of the biggest drawbacks is from VAR, as it often disrupts the flow of the game. Matches can be stopped multiple times during the game to stop and check decisions by VAR, which can take away from the intensity and the excitement.
Indeed, Darcy, it can. By stopping the pace of the game by frequent stoppages, it can lead to negative effect for both the players and spectators. Making the players stop during the game can also bring the risk of injuries, such as sprains and pulls, because their muscles start to cool down and standing still. This can have a massive impact on teams, as if players are out injured, they lose their opportunities to win games. And on the other side, for fans watching, it can also be a little bit boring when the game is stopped, which may lose their interest and they might stop watching.
There is also still some input from officials, meaning that even though the technology reduces human error, officials still must review the play, meaning there can still be controversy of the decisions or disagreements.
Yeah, you see, there is another side to officiating technology, as not all clubs or teams can afford this kind of technology, meaning foul plays that were not allowed in one game may not be picked up on in a different game due to there not being the technology to support the help with the decisions. This can cause ethical concerns, as it creates inconsistency across games.
Well done. Yes, which causes fairness issues, because some games will get the positive impact from highly accurate decisions, whilst other teams must rely solely on human judgment. This means that the same situation could be judged totally different depending on the technology, whether or not the technology is available or not.
Yeah, see, for example, in grassroots or lower league football, VAR is not used due to it not being accessible because of the cost. This means that the players at different levels in the same sport are not experiencing the same standards of officiating.
Therefore, even though it improves decision making, it doesn't completely solve the problem of fairness and may create new issues within sport.
Yeah, this shows that technology in sport is not always positive, and it's used and needs to be carefully managed to ensure that it's the benefits of the game without negatively affecting it.
Moving on to section 4, recovery and injury prevention. In section 4 is a huge hot topic in sport recently, and it's about injury prevention, which is huge in modern sport due to the rise of new technology.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Sorry, Shauna. That's just a bit of dyslexic spelling going on. Yes, definitely. Technology has had a massive impact of the return of athletes after injury, as well as helping to prevent injuries in sport. Things like GPS tracking systems, wearable heart rate monitors, and recovery tools such as cold chambers and recovery boots are now widely used to help athletes stay at their peak performance.
One of the key benefits of this is that it allows coaches and analysts to monitor the athletes more closely. For example, with sports such as football and rugby, which include high numbers of players, teams use GPS tracking systems to measure things like distance covered, sprint speed and overall intensity.
And that data recorded is then used to help coaches identify when players might be at a risk of injury. So if an athlete is showing signs like slowing down or not running as fast, coaches will know that they're becoming fatigued, and they can step in earlier and possibly reduce training load or increase recovery time. This
is important when it comes to preventing overuse injuries. These are more common in high-level sports as athletes are training multiple times a day, and without proper monitoring, it can seriously affect the athlete's career.
Yeah, so from an ethical point of view, this type of technology is positive, as it helps to support the athlete's welfare because it's helping to prevent players from injury and extend their career.
However, this is where things start to get complicated, because even though it has a positive impact in sport, there is also another side where not every team has access to this kind of technology.
Yeah, I agree. This is a big issue, and it means not everyone is getting the same advantage, creating a gap within sports between the athletes that get to use the technology and those who don't.
Exactly, it creates a digital divide where success isn't just about talent or hard work anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's more about who has the biggest budget for data analysis, while safety benefits are undeniable. We must ask ourselves if we're sacrificing equal opportunity in exchange for that technological edge.
So overall, we think in this section that the positives outweigh the negatives, but we still have to think back at the negatives to see whether it's equal.
Yeah.
But I think this kind of technology is useful.
I agree. Good. I do think it's very useful, especially in professional sports.
Exactly.
Nowadays.
It's helping the longevity of the careers, so athletes can play for longer.
Yeah, I agree. But also, grassroots don't have access to the.
They don't.
However, it is.
Which is understandable. It's understandable because
of the cost.
It's a spenny thing.
Yeah.
So
and players only pay for subs, don't they?
Exactly.
And that's not enough.
If everyone wanted it to be fair, they'll be paying more. So they're not. So it isn't. Yeah. Right. Section conclusion.
To wrap up today's episode. So today, to wrap up on the episode in technology and sports, we have to conclude that technology has a profound impact in the world of sports across many areas.
It has helped to improve performance, though data analysis, enhance equipment design, increase accuracy in officiating and supporting the injury and recovery process.
However, our evaluation shows that for many pros, our evaluation shows that there are also cons. There is pros and cons to go alongside, including cost, accessibility, and ethical concerns.
Overall, technology can be seen as a powerful tool that helps to enhance sports, but this depends on how much it is regulated and used.
A balanced approach is crucial for technology to be used to support performance without it compromising fairness.
That puts us to the end of this episode. Thanks for tuning in into Ella and Darcy's Sports Lab.
And we'll see you next time.